There's so many reasons to have a pair of bands and to go ahead and buy a multi-band package. It's going to be much more versatile, obviously, than having single bands, but it's going to allow you to do a lot of different setups that I want to take you through and explain to you why these setups are so significantly better than just having one band. So let's go ahead and kick in and let's get started. Hey, first of all, let's take a look at the linked up band setup. I have two large bands linked up together here. Now, why would I want to go ahead and link up bands together? Well, first of all, the linked up setup is going to give me 4 yards of distance to train versus 2 yards. That's going to allow me to do a lot of running type drills. It's going to allow me to also go ahead and get away from the band attached point, so I don't have to worry about tripping or falling and potentially hitting the band attached point. It's just going to give me a lot more freedom of movement. It's also going to give me a higher level of resistance variability in the system, because now my starting position, if I'm doing a pushing movement with this, my starting resistance is going to be significantly less than if I was doing just a single band. So for some people, they may have a pair of purple, a pair of black, a pair of green bands, and they go, well, they're too big, I can't use them to do a lot of type of exercises upper body wise. Well, yes, you can. If you link them together, you now go ahead and you can do upper body training, but you can also go ahead and come inside them and do bilateral training by doing simple pushes here or turning around and doing simple pulls there. So now you're talking about a less resistance to start out with. So now purple bands can be a band that you start working with. Let's go over to here now. Let's take a look at this setup. I've got the band utility strap set up into the door, because now what I'm going to show you is we can do any kind of upper body training, but you need a pair of bands to be able to do that. We want to do bilateral trainings instead of unilateral training. Well, by having the 2 bands set up, we can do any kind of upper body bilateral training of pushing, pulling, pressing, curling, or tricep type work. We can also go ahead and do this with a resistance that for the most part is going to be very adaptable to most people. I know some people try to go ahead and they like to take a band like this and they like to take a single band, wrap it through, and do bilateral training like this. And you've seen me show you like that before. The problem is doing bilateral training like this, it's going to immediately put a lot of tension onto your band. It's going to make you shorten the band, which, like we showed you earlier, a longer band is going to give you more resistance variability. Well, a shorter band is going to make the starting tension extremely high. So now a simple band like the red band is going to be much more challenging and probably too difficult of a starting resistance, which is why you want to go ahead and consider looking at multi-band packages, and specifically looking at getting 2 bands of similar colors, so you can do that upper body training without having too much resistance. Let's go on here and let's take a look at another setup. You know, the harness setup is a great setup to do a lot of aggressive type training like bear crawls or tug of war type training. But what some people don't realize is the harness can also be a double linked up band system. So now what I've done is I've taken 2 bands of smaller bands and attached them into a larger band. What this is going to allow me to do now is allow me to come on out and do a lot of aggressive, heavy pushing in a system that I can handle. These are bigger bands, so as I step out further, I'm going to be able to generate a lot more resistance. So if I want to go ahead and push really heavy resistance, this allows me to do it. But it also allows me then to quickly jump right in and have a harness set up so I can do bear crawl work and training of that nature. So again, the harness setup, in this case I've got a smaller bands attached into a larger band, really gives me a lot of versatility in regards to doing some different types of training that I like to do. The last setup I want to go ahead and show you is show you a reciprocal based setup. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach the band onto the band utility strap where we have the black band. And we're going to go ahead then and hook that up there. We're then going to go ahead and reach down here where I have another red band attached onto the pipe that I have across from me. Now normally people are not going to have 2 pipes to set up, so that's where the band utility strap is going to come in handy, because now you can go ahead, attach the band utility strap into a structure that's stable behind you or in front of you, and then have your pipe here, so you can do reciprocally based training of pushing and pulling, rotational type movement. All of these things are really going to go ahead and challenge your trunk. But in order to do that, you need to have like-sized bands and similar sized bands, which again makes a reciprocal attachment You must have a pair of bands to be able to do that. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different setups and why you'd want to go ahead and consider a multi-band package versus picking up just a single band. I hope that helps you out a little bit. I hope it gives you more ideas on how you can use bands and why you'd want to look